Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel, wishing you a happy this nice last day. It's the last day of February, and it's time to get into March, of which that means that the monthly and the bi-monthly are going to be closing tonight, which is very likely to provide some clarity on the long-term situation for the direction of the old corns here, the magical corns. So I want to waste no time on this particular video and just jump right into the most important chart that I always reference when it comes to the end of the month and the first day of the next month. And in this case, it's the accumulation and distribution indicator chart right here. What are we looking at? Well, what you need to know about this one is that whenever we've seen a slope change in the extreme highs, in the extreme green zone or the extreme red zone over here, these have correlated with macro shifts in directions on Bitcoin, going all the way back to the dawn of time, which I can show you on this chart over here, which goes all the way to year zero. But I saved this chart for a different purpose. Anyways, going back to the one at hand where we actually do have this marked off, you can see that all of these green vertical bars do align with the low actually already being in, and Bitcoin generally trading sideways and up over the following months to years. In this case, the reason why I bring this one up is because we're going to have a chance to see the slope change coming into the next month of, again, March. What we did see from January to February, this most recent one, was the greatest reduction in the downside slope. So, would that suggest that potentially we do see it actually change to an upside slope coming into next month? Well, perhaps yes. And I also want to go over this as well in the sense that I've also taken analysis on this one where the indicator itself turns red and measured that point from when it turns red to the next macro low. And that's what all of these measurements here correlate towards, and found that the average correction, or crash if you want to call it that, from red to next macro low was about 61.34%. What's very interesting about this is that in the most recent iteration where it turned red, which was back in May actually of 2022 to the current low, that's been a 61.63% move to the downside. Pretty much directly on the nose with the average correction. We do expect some variance in there, but in that case, well, is it reasonable to say that this is going to have a serious potential to see an upside slope on this indicator coming into next month? Yes, I do think so. So definitely going to be a point of interest coming into tomorrow. Next thing, I wanted to jump into this chart over here. This was one of the major charts that we were looking at yesterday for a bias on direction. Short term, the HPDR was indeed incorrect. We did see the failure condition met and then a move somewhere around about 24. Yes. Wait, what? Oh. I'm looking at the wrong time frame. Yeah, somewhere around about 24, not quite there. But ultimately, now we can flip back into the 12-hour time frame, which is still very much relevant, still very much valid. And while I do think that short term, we can very easily see a retest somewhere back down around the current low side of the range. This would be the 4-hour range low at about 22,900. I would still be looking for a bounce from that region. I do not look at this as likely to trade down below $22,000, which with a bounce along the way, probably at 22 even, until Bitcoin does close a 4-hour time frame below 22.9. Until then, referencing the 12-hour setup over here, this one is still active and viable as long as Bitcoin is again above that pivot at 22.8. In fact, actually, Bybit traded all the way down there. Okay, well, yesterday we were saying to move probably somewhere down around there. Well, we did get that, I guess. In this case, this setup is valid as long as, again, Bitcoin's above that pivot on a closing basis for this time frame. If that does indeed hold, then we can reference this setup over here, where the 12-hour jewel goes below 35 marker and turns white on the first tick. That has initiated a nice, a nice setup throughout the last 3 to 4 years, back tested, where there has been a pretty high probability of an upside move. This is with no filter on, by the way, hashtag no filter. 71.5% profitable, meaning that a 71.5% move, or sorry, 71.5% likelihood probability of an upside move of about somewhere around 4 to 5%. Now, again, these numbers are simulated with, of course, a base position size of 300,000, but do take into mind the percentages. That's what we care most about, the percent profitable and the profit factor. On top of that, if we actually do add a daily trend filter, meaning that we only take the signals that are on the same side of the daily trend, which in this case it is also to the upside, well, There's only been 16 prior iterations, but these numbers go significantly up. Percent profitable at 87.5%, and profit factor about 7.7. So we'd be looking at, a pretty decent move back up above 24,000 bucks. Now, I forgot one last thing. We can also look at the average time that typically transpires from that particular setup given, which is about 23 bars. So on a 12-hour time frame, that's what, 11 and a half days basically, which kind of seems far away, honestly. But again, as long as Bitcoin's above that current wick low on a closing basis, about 22.7 or 22.8, does have a higher probability of kind of working its way around this current range. I think best represented on the 4-hour time frame right here to the upside. And of course, we can see on the 4-hour time frame, the low side of the 50% of historical returns range lows right here does correlate pretty much, exactly around the wick lows. So as long as Bitcoin's above there, that's essentially what I'm thinking. If Bitcoin does close below this region on the 4-hour time frame, that's at the point where, very likely Bitcoin does see at least down to 22, probably tries for a bounce there, and then probably tries a little bit lower than that over time. Anyways, last thing over here, I do want to keep this one a little bit on the shorter side as I'm a bit in a rush myself today, but because it is a monthly and bi-monthly closure coming up, we do see, not the 5-day chart for right now, that's going to be relevant for tomorrow, not necessarily today, but we do see on the monthly, Bitcoin still working on that hidden bullish divergence, which, by the way, has called all of the last prior macro lows, the last 1, 2, 3. And also, the monthly jewel is now, once again, that light blue cyan color. So if it does close like that, that would be the next sort of major, brick in this long-term building of suggesting that, the lows are extremely likely in, like the macro lows. And Bitcoin works its way sideways and up from here. Again, these are the last few times that we've seen both of those in conjunction with each other. To take this one step further, if we go over here to the bi-monthly chart, we can see that tonight, upon daily closure and the bi-monthly closure, we'll have a chance to confirm hidden bullish divergence of actually 1, 2, 3 drives variety coming off the last few major lows. So again, would also be suggestive that the next couple months probably does see some more sustained upside. Again, it's not going to be a straight line, obviously. I do think that Bitcoin can come back down in the short term and retest range lows. That's fine. We're talking about monthly charts here, so we're really not, talking about anything that's relevant in the very short term. We're talking about like March, April, May, basically, maybe even all the way up to June. So do keep that in mind as we'll follow up on the clarity of that situation coming into tomorrow. Other than that, I'll shut the video off right there. Like I said, I'm in a bit of a rush this morning, but I do want to wish you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.